most epic moments in human history, the Great Planetary Transformation. The Native Americans, the Hopi Indians, believe that we are about to pass from the fourth to the fifth world, a shift preceded by a day or period they call the Day of Purification. Dimensional shift is when a planet or any cosmic body moves from one dimensional level to another. In our case, here on Earth, it will be from the third to the fourth dimension. The entire planet and everyone and everything on it will experience this transition from one dimension to another, the great change that is coming to Earth and coming to humanity. We are seeing this great shift, ultimately, and specifically, as a planetary dimensional shift, a spiritual shift, to a new level of existence and associated with a shift in Christ consciousness or unity consciousness. Your decisions and feelings at this quantum moment will mirror your vibrational frequency, like a magnet in your cosmic world. The radical shift coming to the planet. Let us delve into the nature of the dimensional level shift associated with this shift to find the wisdom that can now be lived here on Earth to bring balance to these events. Understanding the nature of dimensional change is a way to accelerate one's spiritual growth and utilize the greatest potential of the time we have left on this beautiful planet. The third dimension of the Melchizedeks and the fourth world of the Native Americans are the same event. If you want, you can understand the nature of this transformation as the next dimensional level, or the next world. Even though it is likely to be a very rapid transformation, we will be able to see the nature of it and understand what changes we must face, the veil of the events of this world that are taking place, which allows clarity of mind and heart about this transformation as we humans go through it. Life in this biological energy mass is short, but eternal in the cosmic spiritual matrix. Subscribe to the Galactic Alert channel, the grand evolution of the planetary dimensional change overview. The planets in this galaxy, our Milky Way, normally on planets that undergo dimensional change, the geomagnetic fields, the electromagnetic field that surrounds the planet and determines the north and south poles and their polarities, first begin to weaken and become irregular. The civilization of the planet begins to break down, and finally, the last phase of the dimensional shift is introduced. The final phase normally lasts no longer than 2 years, but almost always at least 3 months. The enigma of the Gregorian and Julian calendars of the Western world causes the spiritual blindness of the masses in the physical, visible world. In this phase of change, civilization begins to dissolve, disintegrate, and it becomes extremely dangerous just to be alive on the planet. This is a time to be away from big cities, and preferably living in a small urban area and close to the nature. In this phase, all the technological systems that maintain and support civilization disintegrate, and in their place the rules of chaos are installed. This is the tribulation period of chaos and confusion that most religions have been preparing to face. It is the period when we are still entering the Earth from the third dimension before actually transitioning into the fourth dimension and beyond. There is a period of between 5 or 6 hours before the final dimensional shift begins. This is a very strange time when the fourth dimension literally starts to leak into the third dimension. It will really help to know when that moment is coming.
When the change really begins, there will be no more doubts. There will be specific changes in the shape and colors of objects that are now beyond the consciousness of most human beings.
From this point forward, we have definitively left Earth's current third dimension. Normally, the planet's axis will shift at this point, but we won't know if because we're literally going to be in a new space-time dimension, the fourth. There are always other possibilities as to how this could happen, but this is the normal course of events. Of course, in the void we will enter the consciousness of the fourth dimension of Earth. Life will be drastically changed then. Ascension, resurrection and final death, all these facts will happen before this phase, the birth to a new world. There will be a new heaven and a new earth. Remember that promise? Will have already begun. The following scenarios and details show how a general dimensional shift happens in the universe, Earth being an exceptional case. The first sign of a planetary dimensional shift is a marked weakening of the planet's electromagnetic field, which current science knows has been falling to Earth in the last 2,000 years since Christ appeared. Over the past 500 years, Earth's geomagnetic field has been falling even more dramatically. As we approach the final moment of the dimensional shift, the geomagnetic field is going to start going crazy, which it has already started to do. Airports around the world have had to change their location codes at the head of their runways due to magnetic corrections that point north on navigation maps and airport locations for aircraft pilots to use. Automatic instruments. The last 30 years have seen very peculiar shifts and alterations of the planetary magnetic field. Birds are no longer migrating to their usual locations. Birds use the magnetic lines of the planet's electromagnetic field to navigate and travel to their homes on migratory routes, and these lines have changed dramatically in recent years. This is most certainly what is causing whales and dolphins to strand themselves and die on several beaches, because they also use these lines to orient themselves and migrate across the planet's oceans. Many of the magnetic grid lines that have always followed seacoasts at certain locations on Earth have now moved inland. As the cetaceans are guided by the magnetic grid, they head towards the beaches, towards the land, where they die stranded, disoriented by the change of the planetary magnetic grid. Eventually soon the planet's geomagnetic field will collapse and drop to zero. This has happened many times before in Earth's history. These events are part of the process of reversal of the magnetic field, reversal of the north and south poles changing places, towards catastrophe announcing their evolutionary ascension. There are other more subtle energy shifts, such as the Schumann frequency, the basic resonant frequency of planet Earth, which will change, already changing, and dramatically fast before the final dimensional shift takes place, but the geomagnetic shift is the biggest challenge, and makes the biggest impact. You can study Greg Braden's excellent work on the importance of the geomagnetic field, which lies in the effect it has on the human mind, and its vibrational balance. Our brain is an excellent time machine, and this current grid of third-dimensional consciousness will break, destroy and cease to exist before or during Earth's dimensional shift. Obviously, people who are already freaking out from the collapse of the planet's geomagnetic field are going to become much worse when they see their limited third-dimensional Luciferian reality centered on material existence collapse, as the objects of their possessions collapse. Begin to disappear or disintegrate. On the bright side, this phase lasts for less than 6 hours. According to Edgar Cayce and other psychics, there have been many extremely advanced in technology civilizations here on Earth before, but there is little or no trace of them. This is because of what we just described. There is a sacred geometry, which is divine mathematics and engineering. Every human being, person, soul who has ever lived on Earth has experienced this type of dimensional shift. Everyone had to go through the experience in order to arrive and occupy a body here on Earth. It's just a cosmic fact, unless we come from a location close by. Wherever we came from before coming to Earth, we had to travel through the void to get here, so we had to switch dimensions. The day you were born on Earth in the body of a baby, you have already experienced a dimensional shift. You have moved from one non-physical world to another material. It is only because of our lack of human memory that we do not remember where we came from. On the one hand, we cannot overcome the reality of great distances such as those between galaxies. The distances in our third-dimensional reality are so great that we cannot cross them. We cannot even leave our solar system. In the current state of consciousness we live in, we are prisoners in our own home. Traveling great distances using spaceships, technological objects, and perceiving time and space in the conventional way is not possible. Scientific minds have already reached that conclusion, but of course it's a disheartening suggestion that we can never leave our own solar system. With current technology at the level of consciousness we are at, reaching the nearest star, Alpha Centauri, about 4 light-years away, would take about 115 million years, using current space technology. Humans don't live that long, and besides, it's just the closest star to our solar system. To reach far into deep space would be simply impossible and unimaginable. We would have to change our understanding of time and space to be successful in this kind of travel. More than likely you'll wake up one morning, and before the sun rises over the horizon, feel like a baby in a new world. This will be your dimensional spiritual awakening. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, Galactic Alert, and turn on notifications to receive new videos.